Hello, beautiful people. I am here today to talk about representation in the How to Train Your Dragon franchise. If you're new here, hello, my name is Rakozy. I'm disabled in a myriad of ways. This was really hard for me as a kid, until my sister came to me. She knew that one of my special interests was the How to Train Your Dragon show on Cartoon Network. I watched that shit religiously. And she was like, hey, did you know it's based on books? And I was like, yeah, great, cool, but I can't read. And that's when I was introduced to the biggest blessing of my life, audiobooks. I would listen to the books every night before bed, and I still do. I would obsess over the characters and the morals that the books taught. Because not only were the books funny and filled with drama and action, they taught me a very important lesson. The main character is different, just like I was. He was mistreated for it, just like I was. But unlike me, he refused to let society treat him poorly. He spoke up against oppressive laws that hurt him and others like him. These books taught me that if I advocate for myself, I can achieve great things. Now I'm an award-winning student getting my doctorate in psychology, running a small business and working part-time at a local family-owned business. So, how's this gonna work? For every character or occurrence that is good representation, the media will get a point. So all the books are grouped together and all of the animation media is put together. And for every bad representation, they will get negative points. And then lastly, I give bonus points for overall representation. So I'll be rating them on the following categories. First, gender. Is it sexist? Is it transphobic? Strong female characters, as well as believable misogyny that is criticized within the universe. It does not give points to misogyny that is forgiven or accepted, and it does not give points to strong female characters who are belittled, seen as other or odd. Sexuality. This category is mainly focused on how they handle relationships and heteronormativity in general. Disability is a huge part of why I'm making this video, so there will be a lot of time spent on these categories specifically. Religion is brought up very rarely, but it is brought up, and I would like to talk about it because I think it's noteworthy. Ethnicity. There's a lot of discourse currently. People are mad at the casting of Astrid as a non-white woman. People are saying she's too black or not black enough. And I have two main points that I want to make about this. First of all, for those who are saying that casting a non-white person as a Viking is historically inaccurate, you are wrong. And for the people who meet that argument with saying, oh, but there are dragons, so of course the show can be historically accurate, you are just furthering the incorrectness of that statement. So, being a Viking was a job. It was not ethnic specific, first of all. Second, Vikings would actively go to countries who had non-white people, take their women, have babies with them, and have children who became Vikings. That is a sad truth, but it was extremely fucking common, and it led to a lot of non-white Vikings. I just get pissed off when people say, oh, it's not historically accurate, and when the response they get is, oh, well, there are dragons, it doesn't have to be historically accurate. Which, yeah, no shit, it's not historically accurate, but this part is. Like, there were black, like, that's the most historically accurate part of the entire movie. So I wanted to mention that, and then I also wanted to mention just briefly how harmful it is for people to say, oh, she's too black or not, she's not black enough, because a lot of people were like, oh, well, if they wanted a black actress, why didn't they get an actually black actress? She's practically white. Like, her getting shit for both being too black and not black enough is a horrible discourse, and I don't understand. It pisses me off a lot. So, anyway, I'm not going to be talking about the live action in this video because I was going to, but then I was like, I don't want to watch it actually. I've noticed that they are trying to incorporate a more diverse cast, but they did that by having an actress playing Rough Nut who is a lot shorter and more overweight than Tough Nut. But they are supposed to be identical. If you wanted a heavier actor for them, then get heavier actors for both of them. Like, you're removing their entire thing. Their entire like character is like that they're identical. And even if just one of them were a bit heavier, that would be fine if they were the same height, but they look nothing alike as it is, and I'm just very confused by the casting. Because, like, if you want to have a more diverse cast, absolutely make Astrid overweight. Have the love interest be overweight. Because it does not feel intentional whatsoever. Both for Astrid and for Rough Nut, so that's just my opinion. Now moving on to some disclaimers. All of this is just my opinion. There is no objective way to talk about representation. The way I score is just how I personally perceive the media I'm watching through my personal experience. There will be character-related spoilers, so character deaths, character arcs, and stuff like that are going to be spoiled for both the movies and the books, so be aware. With all that being said, let's start talking about the movie that started it all. I will briefly explain the plot of the first movie so that you get a sense of the overall story. In the first movie, Hiccup is existing in a constant battle between dragons and Vikings. He is not very good at killing the dragons himself and invents machines to do it for him. But as he does, he finds himself in a unique position where he sees a dragon dying who is not trying to kill him. He finds empathy for the creature. He nurtures the dragon back to good health before realizing he's disabled it by shooting it. It can no longer fly on its own. Hiccup invents a prosthetic that the dragon can only use when Hiccup rides the dragon. In this bonding experience, Hiccup decides that killing dragons is immoral and it should be stopped. Meanwhile, Hiccup's father is trying to locate the dragon's nest and destroy them from the inside. The dragon's nests work similar to a beehive. Hiccup, along with his father and dragon companion, kill the queen of the dragon nest, referred to as the Alpha. The attack disables Hiccup, leaving him with only one leg, but it gives him a world where the dragons and human live together at peace. I have watched this movie a million times, and I don't really understand why all of the dragons decided to not hate the humans anymore. If they actually were like bees, they would not love and submit to the killer of their queen as loyal riding animals. But hey, who knows? Let's get into point giving. Starting with gender. +1 point for Astrid. She is a strong, capable woman who, in the first movie at least, is so much more than just a love interest. Later on, I feel like you're like, oh well, she's very aggressive, so it's okay that she doesn't really matter to the plot and doesn't really have personality. I feel like having unreasonably emotional women is sexist, even if that emotion is anger, and the output of that anger is violence instead of screaming or crying. I don't think she's great feminist representation, but her entry in the first movie I thought was very good. What really bothers me is that the women look the same. They're very skinny and thin. Like Astrid and Ruffnut are both very lanky in their build. There are no muscular women who look like muscular women, if that makes sense. But in the show's defense, I think that's just the art style. Astrid and Toughnut have a few differences, mainly that Ruffnut is flatter and a bit taller because she looks more like her brother. I think it is implied that she's trans because her and Toughnut are clearly identical twins, and she's very often mistaken for a man. In the live-action movie, like I said, they look nothing alike, which kind of ruins that headcanon. I just think it's worth mentioning. I'm not going to give it a plus or minus because it's such a small headcanon. Moving on to another negative, which is that most women have negative or unpleasant traits. Astrid is very violent and Ruffnut is gross and like in a childish way, and she's very often hypersexualized, which is not necessarily a bad thing. I just don't like that the only women are violent and have like this childish sense, as well as only being love interests. In the following movies, Ruffnut especially becomes a tool for them to be like, oh, what if she was fawning over this guy? But obviously the guy doesn't want her, she's gross. And also, for the love of God, have just positive representations of femininity. You don't have to hide everything feminine to make a good feminist character. That leaves us with 1 plus point and 2 minus points. So for gender, the animation gets a score of -1. Sexuality. My first point is a minus because Gabber is very gay, and there's no question about that because that has been confirmed. However, the way he is made out to be as a character is offensive. It's not like he's a gay stereotype, and that's what the offensive part is. The offensive part is that, first of all, it's queerbaiting because the show producers, or the movie producers, were like, oh, in movie 2 we're gonna reveal that Gabber's gay, we're gonna do it. On the big screen we're gonna show him being gay, and the big being gay part was him saying, there's a reason I never married. Like, just one sentence that barely even hints at why he doesn't have a wife. That's not coming out. That's queerbaiting massively. Also, in the third movie, he's hitting on Erit, who is like a third of his age, maybe. Like, he is so much younger, and it feeds into this pedophile stereotype that is so often associated with queer men, with the gay men. And in the short Homecoming, we see how he deals with the death of Stoic, and he is clinically depressed. He is not doing well at all. And everyone else has moved on, Hiccup has moved on, and it's very sad for them to be like, oh yeah, we have a gay character, but of course he can't be happy, of course he doesn't get a cool boyfriend and has a happy ending like everyone else, like all the straight characters. No, he just suffers. Valka, it was her husband who died. She moves on. She's mentally okay. Gabber is not. And it's just so unfair to be like, oh yeah, by the way, he is gay and now we have to make his existence miserable. And it's just like, why would you do that? Why would you be like, oh, we're gonna come out, we're gonna make Gabber come out, He says the most ambiguous line ever in the second movie. In the third movie, he's a pedophile, and in the short, in the epilogue, he's depressed and suffering because the man, presumably that he loved, is dead. And it's like, why? Just don't do that. It's better representation to not make him gay at all, because what the fuck? Starting off with a negative, continuing with a negative. In my opinion, Hiccup and Astrid have no chemistry. What do they like about each other? Like, even in the first movie, I think it's unreasonable because there's this callback moment.
Ow! Why would you do that?
That's for the lies. That's for everything else.
And then at the end of the movie,
That's for scaring me.
Well, what? Was it always gonna be this way? 'Cause I could get used to it.
what did he do to woo her? What is the everything else? She is a very violent character, and she's been raised in a very violent society, so I understand that she's like, oh, something different, something new, this is interesting. But I think her character would despise Hiccup, and it would be like a long burn, or whatever you call it, like it would be drawn out, because she would be like, oh, he's new, he's different, he's not violent. I am very violent, I think he's wrong, but also maybe there is something in the way he handles things. No, she just falls for him immediately for no reason, I think, unless you want to call the scene where Hiccup is showing Astrid that Toothless isn't dangerous by, again, kidnapping her, helping her up to sit on Toothless's back so she can be comfortable. He's showing her like the clouds and the sunset, and it's beautiful, and Toothless is doing loop-de-loops, and they're having a great romantic time, and she leans into Hiccup and hugs his waist, and she's like, oh, this is beautiful, or something like that. I see that scene as her accepting dragons into society. I don't see that as her being, oh my god, Hiccup, you're so hot, because Hiccup is not the one flying. Toothless is the one who is above the clouds, you know? The first scene, when everyone is getting introduced, he's like, oh yeah, that's the twins, that's fish legs, blah blah blah, and Astrid, and then there's an explosion and she's walking in slow-mo, and it's obvious that he's thirsting for her purely because she is prettier than Roughneck. Side note, the books don't have any romantic side plots. There's a very important reason, and it's because they are kids. It's clear in her writing that she does not romanticize or fetishize children. She will not ship children. She will not say, oh, look at Hiccup, oh, he's so hot, and Kamikaze thought he was so hot, and, you know, that would be so out of place in the books, and Hiccup is outspokenly against romance. And so to see these children, who are supposed to be representations of the book characters, just fall for each other the way they do, and I hate the third movie. If you've seen my movie ranking, you would know how much I hate the third movie because of its focus on Toothless getting a girlfriend and Hiccup getting married, because I just don't think that those are plot elements that fit into this story. Moving on, my next point is also a negative. I really don't like Snotlout as a character, because basically his whole character trope is that he harasses and sexualizes all the women around. Like, when Hiccup's mom is introduced, he immediately starts hitting on her, and it's just not right to me. Fishlegs and Snotlout's queer baiting relationship it's a separate negative point because it's just so fucking infuriating to me. There's an episode in the Cartoon Network show where Fish Legs gets hypnotized to be really masculine and really offensive and really harsh and violent and rude. And Snotlout is very attracted to that, and at the end of that episode, he kisses Fish Legs. And he's like crying. He's like, I don't want to say goodbye to this version of you. I don't want to lose this version of you. And then that's just dropped and never revisited. And it's like, if you can have two men kissing on screen, give Gobber a goddamn boyfriend. If he's the one who is canonically gay, if you confirm that he is gay and say, oh, we'll incorporate it into the show, we'll say it on the big screen, we'll do a big reveal. Have him kiss a guy. Like, and another point for just overall how forced the heteronormativity is, so much so that even fucking Toothless had to have a partner. Like, it's so obvious within the show that all the other dragons go and breed and have babies, and everyone's like, oh, poor Toothless, he's not able to breed because he's the only one of his species. Actually, Toothless doesn't need to have a sex drive or sexual relationships to be happy. He can be happy hanging with his friends. Why were they like, yeah, they're right, he needs to have a girl and he needs to be a dad and have kids? No. But my next point is about Fish Legs and Roughnut's relationship in the third movie. I don't have a lot to say about it. It's just gross to me because, like, again, where does this come from? How is this different from her thirsting over Eret or any other guy? She's, like, she doesn't show any true appreciation for Fish Legs. There's just that one scene where she thinks he's hot, and then we're just supposed to take that as good representation of a healthy relationship. Like, there is more to making a couple work than just having them find each other attractive. So, for Sexuality, I have no good examples and 6 bad examples, which gives them a score of -6. Moving on to Disability. My first point is a positive. Hiccup's leg is used very well. It's joked about in a friendly manner. It's friends being friends. The show pokes fun at all the characters in different ways. It pokes fun at Hiccup for having a metal leg a lot. It is a little bit annoying to me that only Hiccup is made fun of for having a peg leg. Gobber is never made fun of for having a peg leg or a hook for an arm. It's still a good point. I still really like how normalizing it is. It's just a bit weird why Hiccup is the only one who is subjected to it. Moving on to a negative. To understand this point, you have to have read the books, because in the books, a lot of the characters, both good and bad, are neurodivergent in some way. And I can't really name a single character who I headcanon as neurodivergent. Maybe Fish Legs, but I think that would be extremely offensive to headcanon him as autistic, because you're not autistic just because you're excited about a subject. You're autistic because you're actually disabled, and that is shown in the books, the downsides of having a mental disability. Fish Legs is just nerdy, and you can be nerdy without having autism. If he is supposed to be autistic, I think it's poor representation. Moving on to a positive example. Toothless's disability is handled very well, in my opinion, with a few exceptions. I really like that no one really cares that Toothless's tail is missing. no one is like, oh, Toothless with the prosthetic tail, fuck him, he's weird and lame. None of the dragons think he's an outsider. None of the Vikings think he's an outsider. They're just like, oh yeah, Hiccup is engineering cool tails and he's learning how to fly dragons with his ingenuity. And it's seen as something cool. In modern society, if you see a dog with like little dog wheelchairs, they're not really chairs, but you know, a lot of the responses to videos or pictures of dogs with those kinds of prosthetics is like, oh, he's so brave, and oh, he's so cute, and oh my god, look at that poor thing, oh my god, I can't believe he's saved. And that is not harmful necessarily, but it is overly romanticizing an animal for just existing. It's a lot worse when it's done to people. When you see people with prosthetics and you go, oh my god, you're so brave for walking outside with that thing, and oh my god, you're so strong for getting groceries, and the disabled person in question is like, yeah, I'm just living my life. It is hard, yes, because I'm being systemically oppressed, but you don't have to treat me like an actual child because of it. It's just very derogatory. None of that is happening in the movies. Not for Hiccup and not for Toothless. And I think it's more important that it's not happening for Toothless because dragons in this universe are so babified. I would, however, like to emphasize the negative parts of Toothless being completely dependent on Hiccup. Toothless is given an opportunity in The Gift of the Night Fury to have a independent tail that he can use whenever he wants. But obviously they had more movies to make, so they decided that Toothless would not want it and he would stay with Hiccup. In movie 3, however, Hiccup does the same thing and then they're done making movies, so they're like, okay, now Toothless can leave. I wish that they made it more of a choice. I love how it's done in The Gift of the Night Fury because he doesn't want independence in the way Hiccup assumes, because Hiccup is like, here, take this tail so that you can go on adventures on your own like the other dragons. And Toothless is like, I don't really want to go on adventures with the other dragons. I like you, I think you're cool, and I'd like to stay here. And then Hiccup is like, oh, well, you should have the tail anyway. I think you would like some being able to move independently. And Toothless is like, well, actually, good point. There's something that I want to do, and I'm gonna go do that now. Toothless leaves to fetch Hiccup's helmet that he dropped in the water. He comes back and give Hiccup the helmet, and then he's like, okay, I don't need the tail anymore. I've done what I wanted to do independently, and now I have done that, and now I don't need to do it independently anymore. And I think that is a great way to do it, because it's his own choice when he wants to be independent and when he doesn't want it. Media often criticizes when movies fix disabled characters, and in the short, I think it's done great. They're showing clearly that Toothless will use this independence when he wants to, but he rarely wants to. He likes the way he is. He likes Hiccup. He likes spending time with his newfound family. He doesn't immediately go, oh, independence, yay, I'm fixed, I'm gonna go be a normal dragon now, bye. In the third movie, that is how that looks. It's like, oh, I'm finally cured, yippee, now I'm gonna leave you and the life I had with you, and I'm not gonna give a shit about you anymore, and I'm just gonna drop my entire personality. Now I've been cured, now I've been fixed, now I'm not disabled anymore. I want to give a separate plus point for just how Gobber's hand prosthetics are handled, because they're adorable, they're hilarious, and I love them. I also like that in movie 2, Drago, who is the villain for that movie, is an amputee. His arm is amputated, and he's like, look how evil dragons are. They took my arm. And Hiccup's like, yeah, they took my leg. I took my dragon's tail. When you're at war, you get hurt, but both sides get hurt. That's not a reason to be racist. And I think that's a great point. I think it handles the dragon hostility very well as just normalizing being disabled. And I just think that is handled very well. I think that the way Hiccup destigmatizes disability is very good, and I appreciate that the villain is someone who's like, oh, poor me, I'm disabled. Oh, I hate the world and I hate my life because I'm disabled. Because that is a bad take on disability. This means we have +2 as a total score for disability. Then I want to talk about religion, because, like I said, it's very rarely talked about within the shows or the movies, but it is mentioned. So, my first point is a positive. The burial scene in movie 2 is gorgeous, beautiful, done with a lot of respect, and I appreciate that. My next point is another positive. There is a character named Godi, and she is a soothsayer. She's a sort of a witch. And Godi is the word for priest in the Old Norse language. And not a lot of people know that, so I really appreciate that. She has the role of someone who talks to the gods and makes ailments and medicine. I wish she had a name. I guess it makes sense, the way you would go to a doctor and call them doctor. I also like that she's mute, a good mute representation. I love the twins being like dedicated to Loki, because that is how the Vikings and just the Old Norse folk in general would see the gods. They recognized all the gods, but they would have someone that they significantly followed more. And it makes perfect sense for the twins to follow Loki, because he is the god of deceival and mischief and pranks. I mean, they do drop it like 2 seconds later, but made me very happy. That gives religion a positive score of 3 points with no negatives. Ethnicity. I don't understand why the kids aren't Scottish. It's not necessarily racist, but it does feel like poor casting and poor representation, because like, you can have a Scottish main character, it will not drop your ratings. Assuming that the main character has to be American for the movie to do well and for the character to be relatable, that thought process is offensive, and so it needed to be said. I think there's a lot of missed opportunities to meet people from different cultures in the Netflix show, because they're like, oh, we're expanding the map, we're going beyond the borders, we're finding new islands. They find no people on these islands, and when they do meet people, they are very violent villains. It's like actively horrible because anytime Hiccup meets someone who isn't from his island, they are a villain. Sometimes they get reformed, sometimes they don't, but it's like, they're never like, hello, I'm a good person. And also, they don't show any indigenous people, which is very weird to me, because like, there's a prime opportunity to include other cultures when they go, ooh, look at island we haven't been to, look, an island we haven't colonized, interesting, who's here? And there are no people, like, and if there are people, they're super aggressive and violent and horrible people. That's just like racism in a nutshell.
Take me as a leader and as a warrior, and it turns out all they want to do is make me into some crappy stew.
It's so weird and dumb, and I don't understand why they did that. My third point is also negative. In the first episode of the Netflix show, he is outright saying that anything that isn't from his island is harmful.
This boat is definitely not from the archipelago. Whatever it is, if it's on this ship, it's no good for dragons.
Hiccup. Show writers. What the fuck? Maybe don't say that. And maybe don't make it be true. You know? Don't agree with him. If you want Hiccup to be like, ew, foreigners, then say, that's not good, Hiccup. Actually, foreigners are people too. But no, the show writers agree. They're like, the foreigners are evil. Kill them. And it's like, no. Just overall bad. A negative score of 3. Final bonus round, I want to give an extra 3 points for body positivity, because even though I complained about the lack of diversity for the women, there is still a lot of non-stereotypical bodies, and almost all of the adults are big and bulky, which is very rarely seen, especially in animation. They get a whopping 6 points for disability representation in general. It's just like a bit too normalized at times, but overall, great representation. I love to see shows that normalize disability in the main character in a way that's fun and relevant without being overbearing or tragic or anything like that. I want to remove a point for ethnicity in general. I am not a fan of how they handle outsiders at all. So 1 negative for that. So they get a bonus score total of 8 points. So they have a total of -3 plus 8. They have a total score of 5. Moving on to the books. The books differ wildly from the movies. They are much darker to begin with. They follow our main character Hiccup, and he has 2 friends, Fishlegs and Kamikaze. They are all disabled in some way. They are seen as runts, weak links, good-for-nothing weaklings. They live in a society of Viking warriors, where the motto is only the strong belong, heroes or exile, death or glory. One chief explains their version of the chant by saying, if a baby is born a little weak, a little sickly, a little weird, like you are, referring to Fishlegs, we leave them on a handy mountainside or cast them out to sea. Their chant goes, toss out the freaks, or the tribe will be weak. The book follows Hiccup as he fights against these injustices, while also being actively oppressed by the system. He advocates for equal rights to disabled humans, enslaved humans, as well as dragons. In this world, dragons are just as intelligent as humans, yet the humans use them for riding, hunting, and sometimes even eating them alive. So, obviously, the books are very different and a lot darker. The first category is gender. My first point is positive. The first book, the first introduction we get to Berk, is Hiccup stating that everyone on Berk is manly, even the women. They're saying they have a culture that romanticizes masculinity, but masculinity is not restrained to only men. Women have the same rights and the same ability to be masculine and to be desirable to the society. And I really like that because it's a take on feminism that I never really heard before. My next point is a negative. So Hiccup struggles with gender a lot throughout the books. he often feels that he is not masculine enough. And within this, he often criticizes feminine things to be weak and bad. There is a part of the first book where he says, "I failed once, I might as well start dressing in pink and playing the harp and change my name to a woman's name." I feel like that should be questioned. I feel like that kind of perspective undoes a lot of the otherwise feminist viewpoints within the books. And throughout the series, I really like how Hiccup deals with his sense of gender, but moments like that, "Oh, I'll never be seen as manly, I might as well start dressing in pink," as if that is lesser than. And in his society, I understand that there's a bigger pressure on being masculine. It makes sense for him as a character to think like this. I just wish that someone was like, pink isn't evil, pink isn't bad, you can dress in pink and still be powerful. That isn't a sign of giving up. Moving on to a positive. Stoic is trying to teach Hiccup how to be a good chief, how to lead people, how to be trustworthy and powerful, and he says that a good chief does not show any emotion. And I think that is a very good example of toxic masculinity, which is challenged within the series. Hiccup is powerful and respected because he is so emotional. It's gorgeous that Stoic is this very, very good representation, because Stoic himself is very emotional, but he suppresses it because he's scared and he thinks that as a chief, he's not supposed to validate those feelings. But every time he does something right, every time he is rewarded by the universe, it's because he taps into his own emotions and he lets himself do what he thinks feels right rather than what he has been told is right by others. And I really love that. If any young boys were reading this book, which, I mean, that was the target demographic, they would have seen this big, strong man be successful when listening to his emotions and unsuccessful when trying to brute force his way to an answer. And I think that is very healthy and very good for kids to see. My next point is negative. Kamikaze's mother is the chief of a tribe of only women, which in itself is very cool. Her name is Big Boobied Bertha. The female characters in this universe are very strong, very powerful, not necessarily good representation of women though. Moving on to my next point, which is a positive representation of a woman. Valhalla, which is Hiccup's mom. In the movies, her name is Valka. I think she's an amazing character. She is so much better, in my opinion, than Valka, because her reason for leaving her family and being an absent mother is so much more understandable in the books than it is in the movies, and she actually has a conversation with her husband before leaving her child. I love Valhalla and Stoic as parents so much, and Valhalla is such a good example of a mother who has shit to do, and that is okay. She can have her family and her career at the same time. She can have a loving husband and a son who is extremely successful without having to devote her life to being a stay-at-home mom. My next point is Kamikaze, who is another strong female character. It is so frequently pointed out that she is short and small that I think that it counts as dwarfism, because within the society they are pointing it out as an oddity. They are going, you are abnormally short and for that reason we assume that you are weak and good for nothing. And she's like, actually, I'm gonna kill all of you. And she is such a good character. I really love how she's written, because she's aggressive and strong and violent, but she is not this emotional wreck that Astrid is in the movies. I think she is good representation of a strong female character because her strength isn't just uncontrolled rage. Her strength is genuine skill, and I really think that is an important thing to distinguish. I really prefer Kamikaze. I think she's a better representation of what strong women actually look like. Plus, she is maybe disabled. Either way, she is underestimated for her physical body. My next point is positive. I want to talk about the bog burglars separately here, because even though, yes, their chief, Kamikaze's mom, her only character trait is having big titties, she is a strong independent woman leading a tribe of strong independent women. There is a lot of discourse within the community with like, what happens if they want to marry a man? What happens if a boy is born? And I personally see the bog burglars as a tribe as like the military. Like, you join them once you're 18 and then when you're older you leave. I don't think it's you're born, raised there. I think that you join them as time goes along, and no one is pointing it out as weird. No one is questioning Kamikaze where her dad is within the universe. They just accept and normalize that women are capable of taking care of themselves. Speaking of the bog burglars, my next positive point is Kamikaze being kind of sexist. And you're like, why is that a positive point? And also, didn't you just rave about what a good character she is? Yes, but anytime she does anything, she praises herself and she says, oh, I'm so good because I'm a girl. And anytime Hiccup does anything poorly, she says, it's okay, you're just a boy. Anytime he does something well, she says, that was very good for a boy. You're almost as good as a girl. And that is sexist, but it is uplifting for women to hear the flip side, because we do live in a sexist society, and the books in general show a lot of real world oppression. And so having a character who talks about oppression on the flip side is good, and I like that switch, because if it was Hiccup who would constantly go, oh my god, you're good even if you're a girl, that first of all would not fit his character, and second, that would just be like, okay, Hiccup, calm down. you have your own issues, you don't have to start projecting on everyone else. It makes sense for Kamikaze to be this way because she's raised by a tribe who strongly believes in this narrative that women are powerful, capable to take care of themselves. There is no tribe with only male warriors. So, obviously, the women are like, yeah, we can take care of ourselves. You guys cannot, but we can. And that is a harmful rhetoric, yes, but it is questioned by the books. Anytime Kamikaze says that she's good because she's a woman, or that Hiccup is bad because he's a boy, Hiccup questions it and he says, that's not nice, that's not true, that's not accurate. So the total score for gender is 6 positives, 2 negatives, with a total of 4. Moving on to sexuality. If you've read the books, in the comments, type any heteronormative couple you can name, because I cannot. The only one I can think of, like the only man and woman who are married with children I can think of, is Hiccup's mom and dad. And they are not really heteronormative in my opinion, because she is not fulfilling this stereotype of what a mom is supposed to do. Even though they are a heterosexual couple, I don't think they're necessarily heteronormative. My first point is positive. That Hiccup is canonically asexual aromantic. Obviously, he's a kid, so he's not gonna be like, I have tried having sex and I don't like it. Obviously, we don't have a conversation like that, but Hiccup has a conversation and he's like, oh my god, she was so hot, she was so cool, blah blah blah, so sexy. And Hiccup is like, can you please shut the fuck up? I don't want to hear this. And he's so valid and so right for doing that. We need kids media that says, actually, I'm not comfortable having this conversation. Please move on with the actual plot. I love that so much. I wish we got more characters like that, and less characters like Snotlout in the movies where they're just supposed to try to fuck everything that moves. Like, they're kids! Stop! Moving on to Valhalla, who I already talked about. I just want to give her a separate point for being such a good representation of how a relationship can look. Because you don't have to be glued to each other your entire lives to be a happy, healthy, functioning family. Moving on to one negative I have, which is that couple in book 8 I mentioned. It's two side characters who really don't matter. He proposes to her. She's like, oh my god, you're so hot. He's like, oh my god, you're so hot. They get married and they fuck off. They go on an adventure together. I think that their relationship is very superficial, which makes sense for their characters. They are very superficial people, and so I don't really mind. I mean, whenever she's on screen or on page, she complains that her dad is not letting her pick the man she wants. So, it's not horrible representation. I just don't like them. And since they are the only romantic relationship we see outside of Hiccup's parents, I feel like there's a missed opportunity with making a bigger point of you should marry the person you want to marry because you like them as a person, not just because they're famous or hot. Moving on to my next point, which is positive. And don't shoot me for this, but I really like Toothless' girlfriend in the books because she's not really a girlfriend. So Toothless is Hiccup's dragon and Stormfly is Kamikaze's dragon. Toothless has a crush on her. She likes to flirt. It's sort of implied as the series goes along that she's flirting with him a little bit more. But I just love them so much. They are adorable because Toothless is so easily flustered by Stormfly, and it's just so cute to see this little baby dragon blush, and Stormfly's like bashing her eyelashes at him and being like, hey, you wanna go do something fun? And he's like, anything for you, I just want to impress you. And it's just like, they're such like lovable kids, and it's very cute. And I like that they are the ones with the like cute romantic subplot and not Hiccup and Kamikaze, because that would make no sense. My next point is another positive. It's about the bog burglars, so the tribe of only women. I think it's implied that they're all lesbians. I mean, it's never explicitly said. I think Cressida Cowell tweeted at some point that like all the tribe members of the bog burglars don't need men, and I think you can either interpret that as they live in celibacy or they have gay orgies, and whichever one is true, I think is good representation of like minority sexualities. The category has 4 positive points and 1 negative point, so Sexuality has a score of 3 in total. Moving on to the big boy, disability. Like I mentioned before in the opening, a big part of these books are about to not spread your sickly germs to the tribe and to weaken the bloodline of the tribe, which is extremely offensive and bordering on eugenics. That is the main plot of the books, that this sort of, we can't have disabled people because they're awful for us. They're gonna ruin our reputation, our bloodline, whatever. It is actively seen as what the villains think. Moving on to Hiccup being autistic. In the books, he 100% is, and it is amazing. First of all, he has special interests that help him help others. It lets him solve problems in ways other people can't. Not in the way movie Hiccup is killing dragons with machines, but rather he's using his actual info dumping. Because usually the smart character is only helped by their brute force counterpart. You know, you have the brains and the bronze. You can't have only one. However, Hiccup is not just a nerd. He is autistic, which, mind you, I don't think it's a superpower or anything like that. But he uses it to his advantage. He is obviously disabled, and he is obviously othered and hated socially, and actively people are trying to kill him for being disabled. That is explicitly said multiple times. However, he sees the good in the abilities that he has. He appreciates his change in perspective, and he uses it for the good of himself, for the good of the people he loves, and for the good of society as a whole. And we love to see that. Also, Hiccup's sense of justice is so clearly the way it is for autistic people. Like, it's an obsession, it's a compulsion. Hiccup's dad says he knew other tribes were keeping slaves, that was unfair and immoral, but he thought that as long as he doesn't do that himself, he's not contributing to the problem, he doesn't really have to care more about the problem. And then he's like, but Hiccup made me understand that I am in a position of power. I should do my best to make other people not oppress others and not torture humans or dragons and use them as slaves. That is just so well explained, because that is what it's like. Other people have a very easy time going, that's not my problem, I'll just look away. Autistic people can't distance themselves that way, and that's why it's a part of the diagnostic criteria. Anyway, rant over. Moving on to my next point, which is positive. Fishlegs is disabled. He is more physically disabled than Hiccup, and I don't really headcanon him as autistic, ADHD, or any other sort of neurotype. I think he is purely physically disabled, and he is a lot more physically disabled than Hiccup is. And I think this is done very well. I think his physical disabilities are shown, they're mentioned, they're not forgotten about. Sometimes they become a problem. However, most times he is valued for his personality, his wit, his sarcasm, his love for Hiccup, and his try-hard attitude. He is extremely loyal and very dedicated to helping Hiccup with just whichever opportunity he is given. He will take it and help Hiccup the best he can. My next point is negative, because I wish Hiccup's and Fishlegs' weakness would be more important within the plot, because when they're born, that's the main reason they are called runts and thrown out to die. But at the same time, they can run away from danger and save themselves. And maybe that's a good thing, maybe I'm complaining about nothing. It just feels a little bit unrealistic. My next point is, I just want to talk about speech impediments. So, I want to talk about Toothless because he has a stutter. And there's a chief of a tribe named Magnus, and he is just fully mute. He has a translator speaking for him. Never speaking over him, mind you. Obviously, Toothless and this chief are very different characters, and I think that is peak normalizing speech impediments. Moving on to my next positive point, which is Windwalker, who is Hiccup's riding dragon. I love the Windwalker so much. He is such a precious sweetheart, and I want to give him a little kiss on the snoot. He is an amputee, and he has PTSD. They go to the dragon stable, and they get to pick the dragons. Hiccup, as the son of the chief, gets to pick first. And out of all of the options, he picks the dragon who is physically disabled. He's shaking, he doesn't trust people, he's not talkative at all. And the stable owner, I forget his name, but he's like, oh, you shouldn't get that one, we're gonna euthanize him anyway. Dragons like that never make good riding dragons because they're just too skittish and scared and won't behave very well. And Hiccup's like, well, just more reason to take him in. He sounds like a great companion to me. And so he does, and the Windwalker is indeed a great companion. Yes, he has his issues, yes, he limps, yes, he struggles to talk with Hiccup because of his trauma. I want to give another plus point for good representation because the books have a few characters who are visually impaired, at least as we can see. So, Fishlegs has glasses, Gobber is missing an eye, and Hiccup's sleigh riding dragon is missing an eye as well. Put down because of this. I mean, Fishlegs is bullied because of his glasses, but the book never says that he's any worse off or any less of a person for it. My next point is about Norbert Nutjob, who is one of my favorite characters. He is obviously just batshit insane. I think he's supposed to be autistic and schizophrenic. He is extremely intelligent. He invents crazy stuff. In this universe, he invents flying machines and clocks and compasses, and he's seen by society as just batshit crazy. And he behaves batshit crazy. He is extremely compulsive. He talks to his weapons like they're his loved ones. And I love that. I love who he is. I love how he is presented. I love that, yeah, he is crazy. And he is probably mentally disabled, and we can show that. I love that we can have representation in this book of a clearly mentally disabled character without it being offensive, because we have so many other examples of characters who are mentally disabled and not murderous and insane. And still, Norbert has a lot of positive qualities. He's a leader, he's an inventor, he's super creative and super innovative. My next point is something I really appreciate. Hiccup's dad, Fishleg's mom, and Kamikaze's mom all make a point to say that they despise the law that says that only the strong can belong. And I think that is very good to say that, yeah, maybe the system has this norm. My next point is a very big debate on whether Alvin, who is the main villain, is harmful or hurtful representation. Because throughout the books, he becomes more and more disabled. With every time he meets Hiccup in an encounter, Hiccup hurts him in a way that makes him more disabled. And personally, I don't think that is offensive. Yes, at the end, when he is the most evil, the most hateful, he is also the most disabled. But he is mad because his body was fucking dismantled by a little child trying to kill him. Obviously, you would become increasingly mad and frustrated and evil because of that. No one is saying that he is evil because he's missing an arm. There are people who disagree. There is a great paper written on it that I really think you should read. It's quick and it's super engaging. I don't agree with the paper, like I said. The paper argues that Alvin is very offensive and a lot of the names that characters are given are very offensive. I disagree with a lot of the paper's points, but it is still a very interesting read that I recommend. So, all in all, the disability category has 8 positives and 1 negative, giving it a total of 7 points. The next category is religion. I love how the language is so centered around their mythology. I love that it is such a core part of how they speak to reference the gods. My second point is negative. I wish we could see someone go sacrifice like a lamb or something to a god and be like, hey, give us good weather, please. I'm not saying you can't be religious if you're not 100%ing it, or the only correct way to show Norse mythology is by showing them slaughtering animals and giving them to a rock. I'm not saying it's necessarily bad, I just wish we would see more of religious routines. My next point is positive, and it's when Hiccup goes to Rome, religion is a big deal. I don't want to spoil it, but this is I'm gonna talk about how he gets out of the sticky situation he is in. So if you don't want to hear that, skip to the next timestamp. But he is claiming to be Thor, and he is using dragons to fly. And he's like, I'm Thor, I am speaking for my people, the Scandinavians. How dare you disrespect my land? How dare you disrespect my people? I will punish you unless you correct your mistake. Let the people you have taken go. Stop killing and enslaving dragons and humans. All will be forgiven. And the Romans are like, shit, their god is real. The Romans aren't like, oh, okay, I guess we were wrong. My point is, I just really appreciate that they're not like, you're wrong, our gods are right. They're like, oh shit, a god? Well, better just take his word for it and follow what he says. So for religion, we have 2 positives, 1 negative, giving it a score of 1. For ethnicity, we have a positive point, starting with the bear cub in How to Ride a Dragon Storm. She is the child of an indigenous group, and she is very good representation because she is shown both strong and powerful and able to take care of herself, but also weak and hurt and upset by people who hurt her and who killed her tribe and enslaved them. Because, yes, the books are very straightforward with indigenous people also being taken as slaves. The bear cub's grandmother, however, is just not good representation. She is depicted as a crazy witch, and she curses everyone, even at her own detriment. At one point she says, I curse everyone on this boat, and Hiccup says, you're on this boat, and she says, I'm already cursed. And I personally relate to her, and I think her anger and craziness is justified because, she's extremely traumatized, but it is harmful to depict indigenous people as crazy witches, and I just don't really think that was handled well, especially with her character design. My next point is a positive, again, for the Romans, because when they are introduced, I think it's either Fishlegs or Kamikaze who are like, oh my god, the Romans suck ass, look how evil they are, look how horrible they are. And Hiccup is actively challenging this idea, and he's going, well, the good Romans, the good people of Rome, are not kidnapping and enslaving Vikings. They are back at Rome making pottery or something. Like, just because we are having a negative encounter with a group of people doesn't mean all the people from that group are horrible, evil. And my God, I wish the movies would take a page out of this book, because that conversation is extremely needed in the context of the movies. The movies are just so racist. My next point is a negative, which is, it's barely a negative. We have one character of color who is Speedy Fist. He is a background character. His blackness is never mentioned or referred to. It's just seen in one character introduction drawing in the 13th book. He is mentioned in How to Train Your Hogfly, and with that, he is drawn and shown to be black. And I just like, yeah, but why is he not in any of the other books? Like, the story itself is not a main part of the story, and he as a character is not a part of this side story. So now, tallying up the bonus scores, I want to give 4 points for body representation overall. I think it's pretty varied. We see weak people, we see strong people, we see fat people, both evil and good for all of those body types, for both women and men for all of those body types. The gender score gets a 1, not because it's poor, just because it deserves an extra bonus point. I want to give +2 for age variation, because we have very old people who are extremely capable, middle-aged people who are extremely capable, and very young people who are extremely capable. And ageism is not talked a lot about. It's not as mentioned of an issue as racism or sexism, but it is worth mentioning that we have a very wide array of capable people of all different ages, and we love to see it. It's genuinely very good representation to see people of all ages being capable and able. The books have a total score of 15 plus a bonus score of 7, so they end up with a whopping 22 points. Compare that to the points of the movies. So looking at the scores, the obvious winner is the books. However, that just doesn't sit right with me, because that would imply that the movies are just horrible representation, and that's just not true. So just let me clarify. I want to talk about the significant difference between the movies and the books. Personally, I prefer the harsh reality of the books. They made me feel empowered as a disabled child and continue to inspire me as a disabled adult. However, the movies, I think, are the kind of representation we need to see mainstream. It's a lot more marketable, and it will reach a wide audience of non-disabled children who will be encouraged to normalize and just not really care about others' disabilities or qualities that make them other. If a franchise as popular as this one were showing a discriminatory society where they were called slurs, where they were exiled and executed for having disabilities, that would just normalize kids to think that that is okay, and that is not what the movies are trying to do. It doesn't really work in the context of the movies to have it be so brutally honest. If that is the world that the kids see on screen, they will very easily pick up on that kind of language, on that kind of behavior. They can misunderstand the evil characters as the cool characters and try to imitate that kind of behavior. So I think that the change in tone is very understandable and done very well. The books are scarring to read, and a common reaction for anyone who is reading the books is, are you sure this is for kids? And I agree. They should come with a trigger warning. The books have a gruesome tone and show inexcusable behavior. They also show uprising of the oppressed. They show that there is power in creativity and resilience, and there is power in being other. This message is one that I really needed as a kid. The books showed me a reality I, as a disabled person, was well aware of. But more than that, they showed a character surviving this reality and thriving in it by molding it to a world he could live in, molding it to a world where he had rights and abilities like anyone else. It motivated me to be resilient too, to fight back against injustices and to value the parts of me that made me other. The movies are good, clean fun. They dehumanize the dragons to remove this whole interspecies conflict. They remove the slaves and the wars and the exiles. Instead, they make a world that is inherently loving, forgiving, and accepting. The movies acknowledge minorities and make friendly jabs at them. They destigmatize the disabilities and normalize the otherness. Neither of these are bad. It's clever of the movies to not show slavery and slurs and banishment for being disabled, because, like I said, it would not be good as a mainstream franchise to show that kind of behavior. Instead, they are showing disability in a way that is very, very helpful and healthy for the mainstream to see. It's showing disability as just a part of a otherwise interesting person. And that is very good for what it is. Still, as a disabled person, I cannot ignore the need for empowerment in media. These books are the sole reason I love myself, I believe in myself, and the reason I've accomplished everything I have. So, to me, personally, the books handle representation better, and that might be why the scores are so heavy in the book's favor, because it's my personal opinion. But that's okay. You can disagree. You can think that the movies do it way better. And I don't necessarily disagree, because I think that the movies are great at handling the conversation with the media it is. Want to attribute my gratitude to the representation in these books, because that alone did so much for me. And I think we need more of this type of representation. What do you think about disability representation in media? Do you have any good recommendations for me? Leave them in the comments below. I would love to check it out if you have any good examples or any bad examples. Comment down below, or join the Discord if you want more conversation and discourse. I know this was a long one. I've been talking for like 3 hours. Thank you for sticking with me for so long. Thank you for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day, night, or evening whenever you are watching this. And always remember that you are loved. Bye bye!